Now let's talk about JavaScript functions in HTML pages. Well, first of all, where do you write your functions? Well, that would be in the script tag. The script tag is an HTML tag where you can write JavaScript or declare functions, which is also JavaScript. So let's take a look at an example. Here we have my HTML page for my swim time converter. I have, my header telling us that it's the swim time converter, the paragraph explaining what it does, the labels and the input and the button. And then down in my script tag I say execute the code document.body.innerHTML gets assigned the value where's my page. Well, we know that innerHTML is the property that holds all the tag information between the given tag. So this is the body tag here, and the end of the body tag goes all the way to here. So this line is saying replace all of this and put where's my page. And if we look at the HTML display, that's all we get. It's hacked our page away and puts where's my page. Okay, so that's not very useful, but what can we do that's useful? First, let me show you what happens if we comment out that tag. When we put a // in front of it, it means comment it out. Now when we reload it, we got our page back. Okay, that makes sense. So when the script goes through the script tag, it runs all the code in the script tag. Well, if we want to calculate the meter time and put a number in here and have that happen when we push the button, it can't execute when the page is loaded because we don't know what number we want to convert yet. What we can do is we can write a function. If we write a function and put it in the script tag, the function gets defined but not executed in the script tag. And then on click, instead of actually doing the calculation, we can make a call for the function to do the calculation. So here's an example. We can take this code and drop it in to our script. Now what's this code doing? It's saying create a variable called convert yard to meter time and assign that variable a function. So to make this a function, and that function is going to change the inner HTML of the meter time element. So change the code, change what's ever in here, and set it with get the yard time value times 1.1 and then to fix so that we have only 2 decimal places with it. So now that we have this function, we don't have to put all this code on click. This defines the function, but it doesn't run it. So how do we get it to run? Well, we do it by calling convert yard to meter and passing in its parameters. So let's change the on click to be the call to convert yard to meter time and pass in its parameters. Well, what are the parameters for this function? Well, look, there's none. So we just do open close parentheses, there's none. And that's the end of our on-click statement, so I'm going to put the semicolon there. Let's save this and see if it still works. Okay, so now on-click makes a call to the function convert yard to meter time, and that function does the execution. Now, what's cool about putting it in the function is that, you know, you're not needing to put it in the string, so you don't have to worry about the conversions of switching between a single quote and a double quote, and you have more ability to put in lines of code. So let's add some lines of code so that we don't have so much going on in a single statement. Let's create a variable for the meter time, and let's call it the meter object, and we're going to pull that element by ID from the document named meter time. So basically that's saying, let's give this long expression a new nickname called meter object. So everywhere this long expression is, now we can replace it with meter object. So here it is. So I can just say meter object here. Well, can we give this long name a nickname too? Sure. Let's create a yard object, and let's set that equal to the document get element by ID of yard time. Now we can replace that with yard object. Okay, so now we have the meter object's inner HTML, assign that the yard object's value times 1.1 and make that 2 fixed with 2 decimal points. Okay, let's see if that still works. Okay, great. So we're calling the function convert yard to meter time, and in that function we're setting the meter object to our new value. This is the slide telling you the on-click has to be changed to be calling that function. The reason that JavaScript is in quotes is because it's an attribute, and the attribute values have to be in strings, and then when the on click is pressed, then that string is processed as JavaScript. So we talked about how we can divide the steps into statements so that it's a little easier to read. Now functions can take parameters. You know, ellipse takes 4 parameters when we call ellipse, but we could also use parameters for the convert yard to meter time. And so if we declare that we want to pass in the yard time object and the meter time object, then we can just use those nicknames that have been given to it in the code. And if we declare that we're passing in those elements, then we actually have to pass in those elements. So here are the 2 elements that we were passing in, and then they get those new nicknames. So this is an example of using 2 parameters for the function call. In this case, you know, the HTML page, you can call the document.getElementID as easily from the on-click is in the script. So typically you would just see that being done in the function. So your homework is going to be to update your HTML page that converts Fahrenheit to Celsius and change it so that you add the script tag at the end of the body. In that script tag you define a function, and in that page you change the on-click action of the button to call the function. In addition to that, you also have to answer these questions. So in the drop box, submit your HTML file, and I highly recommend you name it .txt so that D2L doesn't try to process the HTML. I've had some trouble with students getting their files corrupted because D2L is trying to help them. If you just name it .txt, then D2L won't look into the file. So after you load that file, in the comments you can answer this question. If you wrote it so it has 0 parameters, then explain how you could have written it with 2 parameters. And if you wrote it with 2 parameters, then explain how you could have written it to have no parameters. So either one or the other question. Okay? Good luck.